Hi everyone, welcome back to Maggie UK. This is Maggie. Hope everyone is fine. Today I'm going to talk about supply teaching. It will be helpful for all the teachers who's already working as a teacher. And if you want to go for a supply teaching, I'm going to give some tips and techniques as well as my experience about supply teaching. Make sure you like and subscribe and click the bell button so that you get all my new videos as your notification. Let's begin. So what is supply teaching? Supply teaching is if the teacher is not in school, for example, if she is or he is sick or he goes for any different training course, or maybe he or she will be in school, but they have some responsibility to take care of other jobs, so other responsibility work. So at that time, the school will call a supply teacher through an agency. I will talk about what is agency and how you register with them. But this is the basic what is like supply teaching means. So supply teaching is in demand at the moment. But when I was doing my teaching, at the time the supply teacher was every day you get day-to-day work, you get short-term, long-term, but I think it's just a little bit reduced, but we're still in a demand in schools. So what they do is they call the agency and they let, we want a teacher, like we want a specialized teacher, or if they don't get any specialized teacher, they will say like, okay, we want any teacher who's having any different knowledge in any different subjects. They can call they call as a general teacher basically. So then we will go to the school. Most probably the supply teacher, when we go for supply teaching, we need to get ready in the morning. And then what we need to do is we wait for the call, for the agency to be called. And then we will be going to school. And then we need to be signed in the office, and then we will be ready to work for the whole day. So if you ask me about whether the supply teacher is worth in doing supply teacher instead of a permanent teacher, because permanent teacher means you are being selected by the school and you work for the full time, and then is for even in your holidays and things. But if in supply teaching, you won't get you won't work in the holiday time, you won't get paid as well. I will come back to the pay section. So if you think about the supply teaching, you go to different varieties of school and then you get some experience in that. And for example, in future, if you want to become a permanent teacher, you have different exposure to different schools. That will help you to select one of the schools so that you can apply for job for that school. So if you think about the salary, the average salary for a supply teacher will go up to 39,000, depends upon the experience. And the first pay scale for the supply teacher starts like a normal teacher, like M1. It goes from M1, M2, M3 till M5. And after M5, if you being a permanent teacher in a school, that will be going off to your leadership pay. So at the moment for supply teacher, it will be from M1 to M5 because we can't take any responsibility like a proper teacher in school. If you talk about the M1 pay scale, the M1 pay scale starts from 23. When I was doing my teaching like 10 years back, it was like nearly started from 23, and then now I think it's been raised to 25 for M1, and then it goes up to M5. You will be getting paid up to 30 to 35, which means like that's an average for per year. But if I talk about like a day-to-day thing, and the pay was 120, was the 120 for the whole day. And then maybe if you worked as a supply teacher, maybe 2, 3 or 5 years, it will go like depends upon how many years you have been working. And they give you like up to 150 or now even 180 to 200. For sometimes the supply teacher, they may get like 200. Because the leadership teacher who already worked in a schools in a permanent position, they don't want a permanent position anymore and they want to go for a supply teaching. With that experience, they can get up to 200. So that is for experienced teachers already in a leaderships, leadership responsibilities in school. And the pay is not bad because it's normally like permanent teacher. But one of the thing is like why they pay this much amount of money is you don't get paid in a holiday time. That's why they're given like a big amount so that you can use that amount when you are not working in your holiday time, like they used to have like a half term, they used to have a Christmas break, they have Easter break. So at the time you will not being paid. So what happens is some of the agency, what they do is they don't give like 120. What they do is like they take a little amount of money from what you've been worked, and then they will keep like a saving, and then they will pay during your holiday time. That will also be helpful, like you also get like an holiday pay. That one you need to check with your agencies whether they will be doing like they will be eligible to do the like the holiday pay has been taken while you work. But some of the agencies, they don't do that. So if you talk about the supply teachers in demand, we can say like we are still in demand for long-term and short-term teachers. What they can do is like, for example, if the teacher is not well or she's gone for a sick, or he or she is gone for for example, the women's go for maternity. And so what happens is like they need like a 1 year, or they want for 6 months. So what they do is they call the agency, and what we can do is like they will say like we have a specialized teacher. For example, if there is a maths teacher and she is going for a maternity, so what they do is they call the agency and they say like, okay, do you have any teachers in maths skills? So what they will do is they call us, and we need to go for a proper interview. It's not like they just take you, because the teachers will come from different agencies. There are lots of different agencies. I will come back to you. That agencies, what they do is they bring back like maybe 5 to 10 candidates to go for an interview. And what they do is they ask us to take a lesson, and then you need to take a proper lesson, and the head teacher or the subject leaders will come and observe you. And after that they will select one of the person from the candidates who have been applied, and then they will say like you can start the job. And it's been going till like a whole year. It could be a whole year, or it could be up to Easter break, or it could be up to Christmas, like a short-term role, like which is only for 2 terms. Short-term means if it's like a long term, it goes for 4 or even in a year. When we come back to the the supply teacher, sometimes you may get the whole day, like from Monday to Friday you will get work for even the 5 days. Sometimes the next week you may get only 1 day, or even you may not get any work for the following week. So we can't say like it's inconsistent, but most probably at least we can at least with my experience, I can say it's like guaranteed 2 days, but sometimes 5 days you will get all 5 days, and it keeps going. Because if there is a very busy during, if you think about like in the winter time here in UK, so the winter time is like, lots of teachers get sick, and so that's all. The teachers have been given a job at the time a lot compared to the other days. At the beginning of the year, like in September, you won't get that much work because it's just the starting of the school year. So, but hopefully if after September, which is from October, you get more work. So what about if we talk about how do I get supply teaching, if you ask me a question, you should have qualified teacher status, which way you will be when you're doing your PGCE, or even if you are doing some kind of experience, or if you're doing any kind of course that will lead you to the QTS, you will get an opportunity. Even for unqualified teachers, you will get supply, but that's not supply teaching. We call it as a cover supervisor in school. But what they will look is like you will need a degree for it, at least. For example, if you are going to get one in future, or you will show a commitment to become a teacher. So the next one is, what is the difference between the long-term and short-term teacher? The long-term teacher is like, as I said to you, the school will be giving you the whole year, and you will not be going to school like as a supply teacher. You don't do any marking. Like if you go for day-to-day supply teaching, I'm saying, you don't mark, you don't teach. You just have to, what they will provide you with all the work in the table, and what you need to do is you go and take register with them, and you communicate with them and ask them to like a normal teacher, we say like we take register and everything, And then what we need to do is like we just put the work on the board, or we will talk to them about the work, and then we will ask them to work on, because as I'm a ICT teacher, I will ask them to work on a computer. Or if it's in like a different subject, they will set some work, I will ask them to go and bring a book. And what they do is like they will start to do the work on their books or in computer. So talk about the long-term supply teacher is like you can be booked for the whole year, or some some 2 terms, or even a 4 terms. So I have been having some experience in that. So because I normally go for an ICT and max role, so I just because they know me very well. Once I started to be maybe in a term, they will be get to know me very well, and what's my responsibility for the teacher that I need to bring for the class. And after that is like you have to take each and every step, like what the normal teacher is doing in behavior wise. You need, if there's any problem with behavior, you need to communicate the school leadership, or call for somebody for help. And you need to be staying for your parents evening, and you need to stay for staff meeting, because sometimes the staff meeting will be happening in the morning, like once in a week or twice in a week. And you need to have all the responsibilities, and you can't leave the school early, because if you are in a day-to-day work as a teacher, you can just leave the school straight away once the school has been finished. But if you are going for a long term, you can't come, because you need to mark their work, and you need to attend some staff meeting after school or department meeting. So these are all the responsibilities. But it is good if you plan or if you like to teach something for the kids. If you are a specialized, if you're going for something, you're covering for your specialized teacher, you can just teach them, show them that you are very commitment working as a teacher. That will be added advantage. Sometimes what they do is like they will ask the agency, like, we like this teacher and I want her to keep coming to our school. Or if they have a long-term role, they will prefer you to the agency. Okay, I need this person to come and take over the role, because whatever you do in supply, that will help you and that will count to become like a permanent teacher. Because when I was doing my PGC like 10 years back, when I finished my PGC, I didn't get a job straight away. I was a little bit stressed and I don't know what to do at the time. Then I approached an agency and they have given me all the 5 days. Maybe just for a couple of weeks I did like a day-to-day work. And what happened is suddenly there was a role came up, and then they said, because I didn't finish my NQT year at that time. The NQT year was the one I will talk to you. What is NQT year? How do you achieve NQT? What all the things you need in my future video. But and when I had not done my NQT, they have called me for the whole year in that school. So that was my best opportunity, because when I was finished my teaching, they said within this couple of years you need to finish your NQT. And then I was so happy when I got that school, because I completed my NQT in that school. And even if you work as a long term in one of the school, then the next role will be very easy for you to get a permanent, or the school will take you in any kind of jobs if the job opening comes to the school. Now we will talk about what about, you can ask me whether the supply teacher will be taxed. What is the tax? Because a permanent teacher will have a tax code that they will be taken, like for NI or like national insurance contribution or the tax tax. But the supply teacher will also be taken a tax, but depends upon how much you earn. For example, if you earn like little more higher, your tax will be higher. But for sometimes, when you work as a supply teacher, one of the drawback I can say is, because you register with lots of agencies, because you can register even 10 or 5. Because one of the agency will not call for you, you will have an opportunity for the next agency that will call you for work. So at that time, your tax code will be incorrect when you change job or when you go for a different umbrella company. So that will be your tax code will be a little bit incorrect. And then because with my experience, when I have that kind of tax code, what they will do me is, when the tax year ends, like if I pay too much tax, they will return the amount back after the tax year ends. So which will be, I will say like, oh, I got lots of money at the time, even though my money has been taken a lot during when I was working. The next one is about supply teaching agencies. I will list some of the agencies for you. For example, if in future you are being permanent teacher and you want to go for a supply, what you need to do is go to the agencies, get registered with them. But at that time, you need to be completed your PGCE, you need to take your PGC documents, and you need to take in your QTS, which is a qualified teacher status. And sometimes you will not have NQT, but sometimes you may have NQT. It doesn't matter because the QTS is the main thing. Once you've done your QTS, you have to take that one, and then when you go to a registration, they will call you to book an appointment. And what they do is nearly takes an hour. You need to fill up all the application form because it's the first time you are registering with the agency. You need to give all the original documents, your passport. You need to take your passport copy. If you have driving license, your proof of address, like 2 proof of address you need to show. And when you go for your registration, they will give you like a DBS form, which is like, what is DBS is nothing but a disclosure barring service, which is to check you whether you have done any criminal record in this country, or if you are new to this country, they will check you in your own country. They will send, I don't know how they do that, but they will do that one. Because when I came first here, they will check, because I was not in this country, I can't give any address here. So I don't know how do they done this one, but they asked me my Indian address, so I've given that. So once you got the DBS is a very important thing. First time when you apply, when I applied with an agency, one of the agency, they will send the copy from the DBS, which is an original copy to you. With that original copy, whenever you go to any supply teaching job, even though the agency will send the DBS to the school, you still have to take your original DBS. Because this DBS is, they will look at you whether, they will check in the internet whether she has done any criminal, or is this the person who are coming to work is the same person. The DBS is very important even in teaching role. I don't know about the other jobs, but in teaching they will definitely look for it because you're working with the children. So considering as a children's safety wise, they will do that. This DBS, what we need to do is when you go for the first time, you register, you need to fill up the form, and that form you need to get signed. But when you go to other agency, you don't need to repeat that process again. You can say to them like, I already done the DBS with that agency. So you can, they give you like a form, like you will countersign. Okay, they will ask you whether can I approach the agency to see whether you got the DBS, and they will check between the agency. But now, when I was working, I have that sheet given to me. But now I've been doing my DBS through the update service, which is online. So every year you need to pay £13. So automatically end of the year, it will comes with your email saying that your DBS is going to be expired. So do you want to renew your subscription? So you have to renew your subscription at the time. It's just £13 for the whole year. So I always keep updating. So whenever my agency call now, say for example, if I work with one of the agencies and I left the agency for maybe 1 or 2 years, and they will still ask me, do you have a current DBS status? And I say like, yes, I am in the update service. So what they do is like, they just check online whether your DBS is in update service. Back to you about the pay. Like in some agencies, we have PAYE system, and some we can go through an umbrella company. So umbrella company is nothing but they will take a tax, but your agency will not do that one. You have a separate umbrella company that what they do is like they will calculate your tax, and they will take all your contribution and they will contribute to the HM revenue, and customs. Instead of the agency do that, the umbrella company. What is the difference between the umbrella company and the payee is the payee, you will not be taken a lot of amount, like deduct, like for example payee tax or NI contribution. But if you go to an umbrella company, they may take some service charge because they are calculating your pay. They will charge a fee for you to deduct for putting your salary. So you need to think about whether you want to go for an umbrella company as well as your payee company, because when I was doing both. Some agencies I was doing payee and some agencies I was doing umbrella company, to see the difference. Because in umbrella companies sometimes you get little more, I get more money. Sometimes it will be the same, sometimes it will be the less. I don't know how do they calculate, but they have their own thing to deduct the money and how to take a fees from you. I think this information will be very useful to you. Hope you enjoy my video. Please, if you have any doubts in teaching or any kind of related about supply teaching, comment me in your in my email. So I will get back to you. Please like, share, subscribe to my channel. Click the bell button so that you will get all my videos in future as your notification. Stay tuned. Until I see you next time. See you soon. Signing off from you, Maggie. Bye.
Please subscribe to my mom channel.